Good afternoon, class. It is hard to believe, but we are almost halfway done with our course. I've really enjoyed learning about all of these different databases, and I feel as though it's really helped me grow my source list for my upcoming dissertation, which is good because I only have a few more classes left before I'm really diving deep into that dissertation and hopefully finishing my degree. As a reminder, my focus is on Vietnam veterans. If I'm being honest, I'm still trying to narrow my topic down. There's so many avenues of interest for me personally on this topic, but this course has really helped me in compiling sources, and I feel closer than ever to officially having my topic solidified. But without further ado, let's get started. The first database I used this week was the Oxford Scholarship Online database. By typing in Vietnam veterans, I returned 4,327 sources. I was able to narrow it down to a few that really caught my eye, and the source that I'm going to share with you was a chapter from the book A Time for Peace by Robert D. Schultzinger. I love in this database that it will really search for not just books, but book chapters that may be pertinent or important to the topic you're researching. This chapter was titled Vietnam Veterans Readjustment. This chapter is 21 pages long and packed full of quotes and interviews from Vietnam veterans. For example, one such quote from the article was from the son of Louis Chesty Puller. If that sounds familiar, it might should. Puller, he is the most highly decorated Marine during World War II. The younger Puller served in Vietnam, and he was shocked by the indifference of his countrymen and for his service and sacrifice in Vietnam. He said, "Everywhere I looked, it seemed that Vietnam veterans were being shunned, and I could not reconcile my father's generation's triumphant return from World War II with my own experience." Schultzinger's book is well regarded and has been added to my list of books to read in entirety. The next database I used was Project Muse. Honestly, it was a little bit harder for me to find available sources in Project Muse that pertain to my subject. I did come across one book, though, that called my interest. It was titled Dartmouth Veteran Vietnam Perspectives by Philip C. Schaefer. I had partial access to it, but by reading the information I had access to, I was able to determine that this book was something that could be relevant to my research. I've actually already requested it at my local library so I can read it. Project Muse did allow me to see large excerpts from each chapter, even though I didn't have full access. And I could tell this book had stories from young men from New Hampshire who served in the Vietnam War. It had over 50 stories with a variety of experiences. The final source was one that I did not think would actually be beneficial to my research, but it actually ended up being very useful. The book was found in the Oxford Scholarship database as well, and the book was titled Memories of a Lost War, American Poetic Responses to the Vietnam War by Subarno Chatterjee. Chatterjee is a professor of war poetry who wrote this book in response to very little poetry being written about the Vietnam War. There was a lot of war poetry available, but not necessarily about the Vietnam War. She had several very well-known poets write and submit their poetry for this book, and they all spoke about the forgotten veterans of the Vietnam War. So I hope you enjoyed learning about these three sources and a little bit more about Project Muse and Oxford Scholarship. And I appreciate you tuning in today. I hope you all have a blessed week.